There's a new extensive HuffPost YouGov poll about the issue of drug legalization that just came out. And as expected, a majority of Americans want legal marijuana. Now, according to this poll, it's 51%, but other polls have been even higher. I mean, I saw one, I think 58% was one. But here's the downside of the poll. When people were asked about other drugs, if they should be legalized, let the hypocrisy begin. So what you see here is marijuana, 51% want it to be legal, and then it just drops off tremendously for the other drugs. Now, they didn't mention all drugs. In fact, they left out a lot of big ones. I mean, I guess they left them out because they're legal for prescription use, but like Valium, Xanax, Klonopin, stuff like that, those are off the list, and they didn't ask about like Oxy or stuff like that. They have heroin on there, but not like the pill form and the lighter form, the pharmaceutical grade stuff. But marijuana, 51%, only one that people want legalized. Ibogaine, which is I think it's a powerful hallucinogen, and that stuff actually, it has a good track record for ending addiction to other drugs, which is really interesting. Only 17% want that legalized. I'm surprised 17% even know what that is. Peyote, 15%. That's, of course, what's traditionally viewed as the old school Native American drug. Cocaine, only 11% want it legalized. Ayahuasca, another hallucinogen connected to a lot of like shaman rituals. 9% want that legalized. A lot of people talk about ayahuasca like changing their life and being this powerful thing. And by the way, a lot of these drugs I should mention, that's not even addictive. Like, these aren't even addictive. They're just hallucinogens that can like change your perspective and your view on things, that really try to take you into like another dimension. MDMA, only 9% want that legalized. Crack, only 9%. Heroin, 9%. Methamphetamine, 8%. LSD, 8%. So what I really dislike about this poll is that apparently people don't think they're being hypocrites when they are being hypocrites, you know? And sometimes when I bring this up, like a good listener of the show, member of the show, we debated this on air once, and he said, no, look, I think you're doing a false equivalence when you say that, you know, those drugs are the same, or that it's somehow hypocritical if you're in favor of legalizing one and not another. But my response to that is, no, I'm not doing false equivalence. I understand full well that drugs have completely different effects. Some are uppers, some are downers, some are hallucinogens, some are more powerful, some are less powerful, some are addictive, some aren't. So I understand there's a wide variety and spectrum of different effects that drugs can have with different kinds of highs and lows. But that doesn't mean that the legal status should be different. You can understand that they have different effects and have different qualities, but still say the legal status should be the same. And the reality is, look, I think it's a matter of principle. I think that, you have a right to put in your body whatever you want to put in your body as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Even if you're talking about, I want to chug a gallon of Clorox and commit suicide that way. Okay, I'm going to try to talk you out of it. I'm going to, try to tell you why life is worth living and why you shouldn't do it, and I'll help you. But if at the end of the day you choose to do it, okay, you're going to do it. And what's what should we do instead of that? Like, that's my question to people. What do you want to do? Let's say the person chugs the Clorox and somehow survives because they're immediately rushed to the hospital and they somehow can get it out of their system. What happened? What do you want? Put that person in jail? Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want? You want to put them in jail? But for whatever reason, when we talk about a substance that changes your consciousness, it's like all of a sudden people are like, oh, no, yeah, you should go to jail for that one. It drives me crazy, man. And look, I understand it's a debatable issue whether or not to decriminalize drugs or legalize drugs. I think that that's like the spectrum where the sane people live. Outside of that, I think you're kind of getting kooky. The idea that, no, it is a criminal offense to put something in your system or sell something. I mean, we're talking about people doing a nonviolent crime here. The idea of a nonviolent crime, like, if there's not substantive hurt happening, is it really a crime? Should we really lock people up and take away their freedom for it? And then also there's the massive aspect of this that we haven't spoke about yet, which is the worst drugs of all. See, some people would respond to what I'm saying by mentioning, well, what do you want to legalize, even the worst of drugs? Like, you want people to die, just like crystal meth or crocodile or bath salts and stuff like that really is bad for you? Like the people who take crocodile, for example, they die on average within a year of when they start taking it. Your body, it's like necrosis from inside out, like your skin rots off. And my response to them is the reality that those drugs wouldn't exist if the other drugs were legal. What do you think crystal meth is? It's a cheap attempt to get an upper kind of high that cocaine would provide, but cocaine is too expensive and it's not in the Midwest. So what do? They grab fucking nail polish remover and diesel fuel and mix it with this shit and that shit, and then they smoke it at the end, and it's crystal meth, and it's worse. Even the same thing, crocodile, that's a cheaper heroin. People buy that when they can't afford heroin or they can't afford pills, pharmaceutical grade pills. And of course, what's healthier? Of course it's healthier if it's pharmaceutical grade and they can measure out the proper dose and stuff like that. So the reason why these horrible problems exist is because the drug is illegal. Same thing with violent crime. There wouldn't be violent crime associated with drugs if they were legal. You know? I mean, think about it. Back during Prohibition in the U.S., when alcohol was illegal, what happened? People were dying over alcohol. You know, if there was a problem, you would solve it with the mafia shooting Tommy guns at your face. Why? Because you can't go to sue somebody and go to court over a dispute for whatever reason about alcohol. And also when you produce the drug. During Prohibition, people would die from a bad batch of alcohol. You know what that means? They cut it with something toxic and they weren't able to filter it out properly and you died. You know, and when it's legal, no, you don't hear about that. Well, because it doesn't fucking happen anymore. Now there's regulation of alcohol, so they don't cut it with disgusting shit. There's rules and regulations you have to follow. Same thing goes with prostitution, by the way. You know, prostitution is legal just outside of Las Vegas. They don't have any STDs. There's never been an STD transferred because they get tested weekly or monthly or whatever it is, and they make sure everybody's clean. But if you go to a place where it's illegal, Hunts Point, for example, they're spreading disease all over the place. Because it's illegal, so it's on the black market, and criminals deal with it, and it's unregulated. So the problem is because it's illegal. If you legalize and you tax and you regulate, you make a safe environment. And also, the dosage is a big thing. You know, if you're buying drugs on the black market and the society you live in looks down upon drug usage, you don't know what the fuck you're doing usually. You haven't been educated. You don't know the right amount to take. And that goes for every drug, even marijuana. You don't know. You fucking smoke enough, you know, where you get so high that your mind feels like it's on Jupiter. But if you were able to learn about it because it was openly discussed in society and it was just an everyday thing, people will go, no, it's cool. You got to just take, all you need, you're just starting? Take just one hit or two hits. You're going to feel it. Trust me. You know, actually, you don't get high the first few times. I didn't, but you know what I mean. The first time you actually get high, third time, fourth time, whatever it happens to be. Just take one hit, dude. You're going to feel it. So education is key. Legalize, tax, regulate. I mean, that would decrease crime. That could decrease actual usage, too. How's that for counterintuitive? In Portugal, they decriminalized all drugs. The usage rates dropped. The conservatives are like, what the fuck just happened? That doesn't make sense. Because what's the talking point here? Well, obviously, if you legalize drugs, everybody's going to use them. Really, dipshit? No, apparently it dropped. See, I would have guessed that it would just stay about the same. Because I don't think anybody who's not doing heroin today is all of a sudden going to say, I'm going to try heroin because it's legal. You know? And final thing I'll say, man, here's what we need to get through our heads. That people who take the overwhelming majority of drugs, okay? Yes, there are a few that are really dangerous, but the people who take the overwhelming majority of drugs, they're moderate users, you know? Like that old school reefer madness mentality where they said with weed it's going to destroy your life and you'll be sucking dicks behind a dumpster next to an Arby's when you're 18 if you start smoking pot when you're young. Like that was all fake, and we now know that it's bullshit, it's propaganda, it's not real, right? But that's also largely true of other drugs.